Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
High noon and welcome in. This is the Mason Crosby Show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with yours truly, Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. Welcome on this beautiful Thursday, closer and closer to Packers games, Brewers winning, Cubs losing, all the good things, a new tight end in town. It's like Christmas in August, Mason.
It is. Yeah, busy day yesterday, so appreciate you holding it down, but lots going on today. We got a full rundown, lots of things to tap into. The Pro Bowl doesn't exist anymore. They're not going to play the Pro Bowl games.
It shouldn't.
Man,
if you're not going to have Mason Crosby be a part of it, then you shouldn't be a game anyway.
Yeah, let's do an alumni game around the Pro Bowl. It'd be about as exciting as the Pro Bowl game.
More exciting, probably.
More exciting, maybe. Yeah, so new tight end in town. We are, I can't, necessarily can't wait to talk about Dustin May and him getting rocked by that first ball.
First pitch.
That will be interesting to kind of run down and how that might have felt. Where do you want to tee this thing off?
Well, let's start with John Yu, and it doesn't have to be the whole segment, but we have talked about it for a couple of weeks now here on the Mason Crosby Show that we're a little hesitant about the tight end room, that after Tucker Kraft, like Musgraves is hurt and very well could start the season on the PUP, not just the training camp, that the other guys after him are kind of just guys and they're not terrible. We talked about it a little bit with Dusty Evely. Like there's been some moments of competency and
limited though.
Yeah, but just limited. And not that John U. Smith comes in and changes everything, but he is a professional tight end who knows how to play the game, has had Pro Bowl seasons in his past, and can make and seems to make sense for this team, Mason.
Yeah, and what that just says to me too is Luke Musgraves probably
a little bit further away than.
Yeah, I mean he's on the PUP, like he's going to miss 6+ games, right?
Yeah,
like
you would think
he is now, or IR. Who knows? They might just tap him and his season's done, or looking to bring him back later. But
right,
yeah, I think Jonnu Smith, that signing says to me Luke Musgraves is not ready. We need another receiving option type of tight end while Tucker Kraft's getting, we're giving him limited reps, getting him kind of back, feeling good. And we just don't trust that these other young guys, Wiley and Dabney, can get the job done, right? Like as far as just being a real threat at the receiving tight end position. So I like the signing.
Yeah.
Again, I had my GM hat on and probably a week ago, and I was like, that
we mentioned his name.
Sense.
He was on our list of guys we mentioned.
And he's a veteran guy. Like he's going to step in. Like hopefully his personality is that of coming in and being a guy that sheds light into a room of some younger players. And then Goody, I guess, spoke about like they don't seem that close on Tucker Kraft.
Right.
So,
yeah. Like he said, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot that goes into it. And 414-677-1250, your reaction to the tight end room. Some notes about John U. Smith, turned 31 5 days ago.
Yeah.
So not old, but not young.
Yeah,
one thing I really like about him, he's played 17 games each of the last 3 seasons.
That's good.
And even before that, I mean, you look at his entire career. 16, 13, 16, 15, 16, 14, 17, 17, 17. Like he is generally available, for the full season. His last 3 seasons, 70 or 50 catches, 88 catches. 2 years ago, he had a Pro Bowl, his lone Pro Bowl season with Miami. Then last year was down to 38 catches, but not the primary tight end target in
Aaron
Pittsburgh.
Didn't like him.
Yeah.
Aaron didn't like him.
Is that real? Do you think that's?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if Aaron's not throwing to him, I don't know.
But they had 3 decent tight ends in Pittsburgh.
Freiermuth, and
right.
He kind of started liking Washington a little bit. So yeah, he was just the odd man out.
Yeah. So he played in Tennessee when Tennessee was not so terrible. Spent a couple of years in New England. 1 year in Atlanta, 1 year in Miami, 1 year in Pittsburgh. You do kind of wonder why is he bounced around so much? But then I think the other thought of it is like, because he's not really a number one tight end. And so like a lot of teams have brought him in to be that number two. And like a number two guy can bounce around a little bit. Like if he's your number one, you're signing a 4-year deal and you're there. But if you're a number two, then that, and you have more flexibility to move around and pick, he had the opportunity. He probably had his agents talking to 4 or 5 different teams. And he saw an opportunity in Green Bay. Musgraves is hurt. Like he's going to get to come in and play, not just be a vet, but actually play.
He just like solidified himself, as the number 2 tight end in Green Bay with this deal. So I think it's a great opportunity for him. You have a system and a quarterback that is built to spread the ball around as well. If you look at it, it's like, I mean, they tried to get the ball to Luke Musgraves when he was in the games last year, and he would make some good catches and do some things. He just was like not able to get any yards after catch. That like Luke Musgrave just is not able to run after he catches a football. So the hope here is that Jonnu Smith, if he, I don't know, I can't remember. I'm guess he's okay at blocking, but I would say my recollection of like watching him is he's more of a passing, like receiving tight end. Yep. So they're going to just be able to have that 1-2 punch there. And then you have Wiley and Dabney for kind of that dirty work, running them at fullback positions and moving them all over the place, because let's be real. I think LaFleur is not afraid to throw 3 tight ends out on the field.
No, that's correct.
And have that type of set out there.
Andy Herman's going to join us at 1:00. And I know Andy tweeted out earlier today that Jonnu Smith was with the Titans when Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator there. So they have a previous relationship that helps.
There you go.
I think. And I think that's a positive. Some negatives from yesterday's contest, and we'll talk more about this with Andy Herman. I know there were some big plays early, and Charlie and I were talking about them, but the 2-minute drills ended very poorly for the Green Bay Packers yesterday. Mace, how much did you put into that?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, those are situational football against another opponent, and I just remember whenever we had our kind of practices, those scrimmages against these teams, joint practices. I mean, Aaron would just light up the other teams. Yeah. Like it was, I mean,
he's Aaron Rodgers.
Ran 2-minute, against any other team in those joint practices. It was just like I knew if we were down 2 or it was a situation where I was going to have it up to kick a field goal, like I'm getting a field goal.
Yeah.
Like it was dominant. So it is. I'm a little that's a little concerning that you go against a real opponent in a practice like that and you're just not able to execute. I don't know. I don't know how to take it, and I think it's the question of are these teams, like, has Matt LaFleur created a culture that they just don't have that second gear of like grind, right? And like to do some of these tough things in these moments. I say that with a grain of salt as well, though, because it is training camp. Like they've been in a long process here. So let's not like just jump to conclusions. But I think if I'm watching this, like this team needs to prove to me that they will go out and they will finish games. They will grind. They will do some of the kind of nasty, dirty stuff.
Yeah.
And not just try to finesse and trick and do all the like, let's just go punch some people in the mouth and play some football and do some of the simple things. And I said that about the third down play when Dusty Evely was on in that preseason game. When are we going to just line up and run power football when it's 3rd and 1? If you know you're going for it on 4th down, like just show that we are willing to get in the trenches and go win a ball game. Yeah. I think that to me is the biggest kind of knock in LaFleur. Like he's won games, he's done all that, but it's like, can you grind in those critical moments and just find a way? And they just have to prove that they can.
Absolutely. 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Your thoughts on what's going on at joint practices as the Packers and Cardinals. They play tomorrow night, right?
They play tomorrow.
Yeah, it's Friday night. Okay. For some reason, I had in my head that it was Saturday night, and then I was like, no, it's Friday night. Yeah.
They'll practice. Like they're going to practice today, right?
Yeah, but it's
that full blown.
Yeah, but I think there's no media availability today.
So are they going against each other still, or is it just kind of like
I don't know.
half?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Speed, like
Andy, you know what?
I can't remember how the day before was.
More Packers news and notes and all this discussion when Andy Herman joins us at 1:00. But I wanted to ask you, Mason, do you remember a time, college, pro, whatever it might have been, where like the quarterback, I mean, obviously, Aaron broke his collarbone. We all remember that game. But like a quarterback or a wide receiver or your top linebacker or something like that getting hurt early in a game, like first drive or first quarter, and then the backup coming in and not missing a beat.
Yeah, I gotta think back. Obviously, you're talking about when Aaron got hurt. Some of those moments.
Seneca Wallace missed a beat.
Seneca Wallace, when Seneca came
he was not exactly the same.
Yeah, well, I mean, like our boy Malik Willis, right? He had to step in for Jordan Love, and yesterday, Gasser was the Malik Willis of the Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Tom, we gotta get Tommy.
Tommy, if you're listening, buddy, I did it. I brought Malik Willis up somehow when we're talking about the Brewers, but I do. It is one of those where unexpected, something crazy happens. I love that a guy like Gasser stepped in and just went out and dealt. I mean, that is what great teams, and that's what solid bullpen, that's what a solid organization and staff does. You have to be prepared.
Yeah,
anything can happen. I mean, there are guys like I look back, it's like a Colt McCoy, Chase Daniels, like those guys, perennial backups, but they were always ready. Like that's why they were always available, always a backup, because they knew, they studied, they were prepared. If they had to step in, they were going to at least get the job done in a way that you had a chance to win.
Okay.
And that's what you got to expect from your guys. And I think for Brewers fans, we have to feel really good at the fact that something crazy happens, Gasser steps in, the bullpen steps up, and this team finds a way to dominate, not just win. I mean, they dominated last night whenever something unexpected happened right out of the gate.
Yeah, what an absolute,
and you don't see it as much in baseball.
Baller move by Robert Gasser, right?
Yeah,
and you see, when there's an injury, yes, the pitcher gets as much time as they want to warm up. It's not like between innings where it's 8 pitches or whatever it is. They get as much time as they want and they get ready. But Robert Gasser, literally the last time we saw him, Mason, he was taken out by Pat Murphy in the middle of an at-bat, almost like Cooper Pratt was 2 nights ago. It was a very similar situation in that, Murph had had enough. He was sick and tired. Robert Gasser had walked. I think he had walked 4 and hit 1, and he goes 2-0 on the next guy after Hook had just talked to him about throwing strikes. Murph wasn't having it. He came out and yanked him in the middle of an at-bat, which almost never happens. Yeah. So they have that conversation, and what a way to respond. Last night, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned run. Could have been no earned runs if Wild Bill had challenged a pitch, which he you're not going to challenge everything, but he could have challenged a pitch that would have ended the inning. And talk about we made the entire show yesterday, Mason, was about Pat Murphy. And was about Pat Murphy and the Cooper Pratt situation, and how do you treat your young players versus how you treat your veterans, and how you discipline, and do you do it in the middle of a play, or do you do it in between innings, or do you do it after a game, or how you send those messages, and how different players take things differently, and you have to manage each player individually sometimes. You can't just treat everybody the same, because not everybody's in the same situation. So that was, we literally did the whole, we
broke it all down.
Yeah, we did the one topic, and the text line was going crazy, and lots of people, and I took Murphy to task a little bit.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't love, because I actually didn't mind sending the message, but I actually thought factually he was wrong. That there was that I thought Cooper Pratt did hustle. Now, if it's because of the at bat before where he didn't get the bunt down, that I would have been really mad about if I was Murph. I wouldn't have been mad about the pop up where he just got to first and didn't get to second, because I don't think he was getting a second anyway. But regardless, the message obviously was heard by Robert Gasser. Yeah. Robert Gasser got that message. Yeah, he walked a couple yesterday, but he didn't walk 4. He didn't walk 5 like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think what a strength of organizational strength. What a sign of organizational strength that May gets hurt, and Gasser, you don't know exactly where you're going to get, and stud performance yesterday by him.
For sure. And I think you just hit it as well, is that, Yes, like a Pat Murphy, he's going to coach hard. He's going to coach his young guys harder, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's just natural for a coach, and it's how it probably should be. It's like those Contreras and like, Terrain, like those guys, they might need some direction, and they'll probably almost seek advice, and it's almost more of a conversation. But with young guys, sometimes you just got to be like, this is how it needs to be done. This is how we do it here in this organization. You're going to run hard. You're going to play hard. It does not matter. And you don't have to tell every single one of the guys, because you go at Cooper Pratt a little bit. And like you said, Gasser listened, Gasser heard. Like, it's like, man, if I get up here, like another opportunity, like I got to bring it. Like Murph's not messing around.
Right.
He sees what type of team we are. And then he's willing to put Gasser out there and see what he can do. And honestly, it was like, he could have failed miserably. And then it could have been like another, it could have been a disaster in a sense, but he steps up. And now you just say like, wow, we got another weapon in this bullpen that is one of our types of guys, and we can go to battle with them. And I think that speaks, and that gives a lot of confidence to the team that they're all on the same page. Nobody's like outside of, kind of doing their own thing. And then you just look at the bullpen after him. I mean, he comes in. It's awesome. He comes in and pitches five and a third innings.
Yep.
And then you go in the bullpen and don't give any more runs.
Anderson and Wilson,
barely any hits.
Now, granted, it's a little bit easier to pitch with that big lead. So let's go back to that big lead, Mace, because not only does Gasser do what he does, but how about the offense? And I don't know what type of rallying cry there is when May gets hurt, and so Gasser has to come in. But right away, that top of the second, Lara singles to left, Vaughn singles to center, Hamilton RBI single, Pratt reaches on an infield single, Frelick with a 2 RBI single, Garrett Mitchell with an RBI single, 6 straight hits. Kind of like, Mason, what it reminds me of is when we were at Explorium last week watching that first inning against the Mariners.
Yeah, just jump on them.
6 straight hits, 4 runs. So not only do you get 5 1/3 from Gasser, but the offense also says, hey, May got hurt, Gasser's pitching. Let's give this guy a lead and not have him like last time when he pitched when it was 6-0 and he almost spit it back. Like, let's get him the lead again, and let's see what he can do with it. And the offense, to their credit, sent a message in that top of the second, and Gasser responded.
Yeah, and like you said, though, like I'd like to say that in that moment, that's when you want a veteran to step up and get something done and kind of lead that push on the offensive side of the ball. But it starts with Lara.
Yeah.
And then you get Vaughn and Hamilton, and then Pratt's right in the mix there. And then our boy Sal Frelick, Tommy and Bayview's probably going to, but Sal Frelick
stepped up,
came back swinging, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he is like, so he's saying like, hey, I'm back. I'm feeling good. It's going to be hard not to have me in this lineup come playoff time.
3 for 4 with a couple RBIs. I mean,
Heck
just
yeah.
a great performance. And then I also wanted to pay special attention. We have to give somebody here at the station his flowers. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to play the highlight.
High fly, deep into right. Back is Benj. See ya. A 3-run bomb for Bryce Terang. It's his first in the month of August.
All right. So, first of all, not so great that Bryce Terang hit 10 home runs last August, and it took till August 26th. But I said on the morning show, I was on the Wisconsin Morning Wake Up Call with Josh Albrecht this morning, if he hits 10 home runs in October, because he only hit 1 home run in August, the Brewers will win the World Series. If Bryce Terang hits 10 home runs in October, the Brewers will win the World Series. I will guarantee that.
Yeah, let's get hot now, Bryce. Right. Like, I'm not worried about what you've done up until this point. Like, if that's right now, we get hot now through October. This is the time to do it. So Mace, we need to see Bryce Terang get hot
at the very end of the show yesterday with me and Charlie Houston said this. Charlie, that's what I'm going with.
I like it.
You're here for it? I mean, it's going to be, the final's going to be the final's going to be 13-7.
I think Bryce Terang homer.
I'll take it. I think Bryce Terang homers. He needs something. Charlie Houston predicted a Bryce Terang homer yesterday. How about that?
Way to go, Charlie. Ball.
I also predicted the under, and I lost that one.
Yeah,
8-1.
but I thought, you.
I took the under.
You had just taken the under. And
I
then
just
said
taken the under, and then
right.
And then I was like, and so of course it'll be 13-7. And then Charlie took Bryce Turang to hit home run. So flowers for Charlie Houston for predicting the Turang homer. Let's do it again. Let's get to more. Let's get to more of those. We need more.
We need Turang to get hot. Bryce Turang homer. Yeah. Talking about homers, Cal Raleigh. Geez, like where
3 the other day, and I mean it's like
he had 4 in a row. I think 4 at bats. He had 4 home runs, and he's having one of the worst batting average seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. But he's coming on strong here at the end. Yeah, and that's what we say to that, as we say to everything, Mason. Baseball, right? Baseball. That's baseball. All right, plenty more to get to on the Mason Crosby Show. Did you play football from 22 to 26, and then the courts told you got an extra year, but you were in an NFL training camp, and then you tried to go back to college, and then the NCAA just lost not the NCAA, the conferences just lost their brains yesterday. So the lawsuits that are coming, I'm here for, Mace. Yeah, I'm so excited for the lawsuits that are coming. Of course, Lane Kiffin's right in the middle of it all,
as he should be.
As he should.
Lane's gonna lane, that's for sure. But plenty more news and notes around the NFL. I feel like we're finally getting like some NFL stories.
Yeah,
it's
almost back,
right? Because Sunday's cutdown day, right?
It's coming up. Yeah. This is the toughest part of the year right here. The next few days.
I mean, 37 guys on every team are about to lose their jobs.
Yeah, you go from fans at practice, like crowded locker, everything, like just a lot of energy, and then that first day back at the normal after cut down, that practice.
Yep.
It's like there's nobody here. Like it literally feels like a ghost town. So it's a weird time of year.
All right, so we got plenty more to get to. Andy Herman at 1:00. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nellis, aka Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show.
Yes, we are.
It's the Mason Crosby Show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We're in the studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Mason, I don't know if you saw this headline or not, and I don't even know if it warrants a headline. ESPN is toying with the idea of getting rid of the ticker, the bottom line, during college football games only. They haven't detailed why. They haven't really said why.
Distracting.
I think somebody.
Do people flip off the game and go to
another game that's more exciting,
or ESPN2. Yeah, they go to something.
They go to Fox or ABC or NBC.
Yeah, are they giving free headlines to other networks?
Yeah, they haven't really said why. The reaction nationally has been pretty negative. They're like, wow, ESPN, you have broken 100 things in sports media, and that's what you're trying to fix.
Right.
Like SportsCenter used to mean something. Your talking heads used to mean something. Now it's like whatever, and that's what you're fixing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like the NFL rule changes, right? Like they come up with a meeting and then they just change some obscure kicking rule every year. There's always, let's mess with the onside kicks. Let's change the setup line. Let's do all these things. Like it's almost like they pay all these people, so they're like, we have to figure something out. We got to make an adjustment in something, or we're going to lose our jobs because we're irrelevant. So
right,
weird. If that's what they do, then hey. I did see. What did everyone think of the new? Like they're trying out the new score logos. You know, the graphic.
I haven't even noticed.
Games. I kind of like them. I think.
Okay.
I think they're a little animated, but they're bigger. Like you can kind of just glance.
Is it too much on the screen?
No, it didn't feel like it. It almost felt like you could see through it a little bit. Like so
okay.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they roll it out in the regular season.
Okay. So what?
What do you think? Talk about rule changes and things getting crazy. I just saw the SEC's response to coaches and teams adding pros.
That they're going to suspend coaches and fine the school hundreds of thousands of dollars.
50% of the sport's annual budget.
So if it's 20 million, they would fine you $10 million.
That's what
So they're basically saying, don't do this. Don't do this ever.
Half season for the coach, a fine that matches 50% of the sport's annual budget, and revoking of league voting rights.
Big 12 latest to okay the pro ban includes all sports. SEC to suspend coaches. Big 10 voted on it first. ACC has met. They still have to go through a couple of loopholes to get a vote like that. Are these conferences allowed to do this, Mason, if they're under the NCAA umbrella? Doesn't the NCAA rules supersede the conference rules?
In some cases, but I do think with their vote, it seems like every team voted for it, which is odd when you have a coach at Ole Miss wanting to bring a player.
Or at LSU now. At LSU.
Sorry.
Yeah. You never know. Tennessee.
Where is he?
Tennessee, USC.
That's my bad.
Where's Lane Kiffin these?
All right, he's at LSU now. Well,
the Raiders.
Maybe he's gonna go back to Ole Miss. Maybe he's side coaching for them. But yeah, they're at LSU and they vote to ban this. It's you didn't even stand by your coach, it's just wild.
And then the NFL, in a memo obtained by ESPN, informed its clubs Wednesday that any player who returns to the college ranks will be prohibited from signing with an NFL team this season.
Yeah, which that makes sense. That totally makes sense. I think that's
not if they get if they get kicked out by Daquan Wright tries to go back to Ole Miss. Because LSU because he tries to go to LSU, is he now banned by the NFL?
I think the wording though, you said if they sign,
right? Okay,
team, or if they so if he never was on the LSU team, never did anything, I think he's okay. Yeah. I think it's if you go and you get on the team and you play any games, or you get an NIL deal, or you're part of any contractual thing with a university, you probably can't come back. Here's a fascinating thing.
Crazy. This is so crazy.
And I don't know what, my thoughts on it, but in the midst of all this, the Big Ten gives their commissioner a 5-year extension.
Right.
It's like,
I saw that too.
They were the first ones out, and then it's like, all right, like
good job.
You stood firm. You made a decision. Here's 5 more years. We'll give you a ton of money to keep all these pros out of the college ranks.
I mean, they did win. Let's see, they won men's and women's basketball. I mean, UCLA is that.
I'm not saying he's not deserving of
right.
it. It's
they
just
added
an interesting time.
Yes,
whenever it's like all these things are going on, blocking players from coming back, and then it's like, oh well, we'll give you a 5-year extension real quick.
The Big Ten is in the middle of a 7-year, $7 billion media deal. So he gets to redo that in 4 years.
Jeez,
man,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah,
he gets to be a part of that little part of both of them.
I think I talked myself, because we do this show, Mason. I think I talked myself into, listen, if you played from 22 to 26 and everyone who you played with is granted a 5th year, and because you were an undrafted free agent, or like you were a swimmer and you went to a USA trial or something, like I still talked myself into, these guys deserve 1 more year in college.
I totally agree. I think in this case, and I think the better thing for these athletes, for the sports in general, would have said, like, to do an exception for this,
for this year, for just this year,
because it's a unique time. It's a unique moment in the history of sports, like where they gave everyone a 5th year chance.
Yeah.
So it's like, why now hardline at this moment? Why not say, like, all right, we'll give an exception for this year. Rules starting 2027 are this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love, it's like you can't just make exceptions all the time, but they do. So it's like, why not do it in this regard?
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm confused about this whole thing. The NCAA getting involved, the NFL getting involved, the conferences each setting up their own rules. Like, what needs to happen in the world of college athletics, Mason, for this to like all come back under one umbrella, where there's one ruling body, whether it's the NCAA or a new organization, that just makes the decisions, where conferences aren't allowed to make their own rules because they are member bodies of this bigger organization. Like, isn't that the whole point of the NCAA?
Like they've all just carved the NCAA out.
Right.
They're just like, we're just going to run this locally through our conferences. I think what ultimately the only way that happens, and you get a governing body, is you merge conferences, and you have the Big Ten and the SEC come together, and you have 34 teams or whatever it would be. Is Big Ten 18 teams?
Big Ten's 18. Big Ten is 18.
34 teams.
Yep.
And you just say, like, hey, we're going to operate as a college/professional league, right? And we will we'll give benefit, we'll do all the stuff, and we'll run it like the NFL does it. Like, that's the only way this changes. And you just basically tell the NCAA, you don't exist anymore to us, and we're going to start our own thing. Because now it's like you're saying, like, the Big Ten has their own $7 billion deal with TV. Like, it's like, so do they need the NCAA anymore? Like, it doesn't feel like it.
Right. I don't think the the Big Ten and the SEC don't.
Yeah.
The ACC kind of does. The Big 12 kind of does. The Big East in basketball, some of the other conferences.
What I'm saying. I think you have to just combine the Big Ten and the SEC.
And the SEC.
And you just form your own college football juggernaut conference. And it would be interesting, because then you could division it out, because you now have a ton of teams on the West Coast. You have the South, the North, the East. Like, you could literally become a college version of the NFL right away if you just combine those two conferences.
Yeah.
Do I want to see that? No, but that is, I think, the only answer, or one of the answers, to basically say, NCAA, you're not going to rule over us at all anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You can rule over, like, ACC, Big 12, like any of these conferences that can't do what we can do.
Right.
We're going to negotiate our own deals. We're going to do all of our own stuff, and we will be the most popular college sports league in the world. Like, it's inevitable. If the Big Ten and the SEC decided to do that, which that's another whole nother topic, because I don't think they ever would. Right. Because I think that that competitiveness of who's better, right? Is the Big Ten or the SEC a better overall conference? That is in itself alone a really big battle. But
sure,
that's where you keep them separate, like the NFC and AFC. You kind of keep like some of that separation. Again, I don't know if I want to see it, but it could be interesting, and it could honestly it could be kind of exciting with everything that's happening in college sports right now.
Tommy's in Bayview. Tommy, you're up on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, fellas, how are you today?
What's up, Tommy?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm good. Really staying away from Sherbert.
How about you know what?
Sherbert.
You know what happened last night in New York? South Free Lake celebrated going 3 for 4 with some rainbow sherbet.
Oh gosh, that'd be Tommy's
sure
nightmare.
No. Like I said, I stopped giving him grief. So
all right,
and look what he's doing now. Look at you. You just took that hex off of him.
Yep.
See, there we go. I think what really needs to happen in college football, the players need to get a union. In all of college sports, they need to unionize because it's the only way they're going to get the protections they need from all these different, from the Wild West that it is.
Yeah, it's like I agree to a point. Yeah. It's just so tricky because is it all college sports? It's not just a football union, so you're lumping every men's and women's sport.
But isn't football its own animal, Mace? Like, can't we separate college football from every other sport?
They can try, but I knowing like the nuances of college sport, I just don't know how universities would allow some of that as well. Like
I think it needs to be all the sports in one union, protecting all the athletes, because you have to admit that the NFL Players Union is pretty powerful.
Yep.
And I think with all the money that's flying around and all that stuff now, the only way to really regulate it and protect these kids is a union.
Yeah, and I think the like what I was saying, if like Big Ten and SEC joined together and kind of formed their own college sports leagues, like where it was just they did their own thing outside of the NCAA, that would be an easier way for just those 34 teams or like those the schools that are part of that 34 university league. Then if you join and you sign on with one of those teams, then you join the union representing those players. The rest of it, though, I mean, it's like what the NFL has, 1,600, 2,000 members like that. We're talking tens of thousands of members.
Yep.
And I'm just not sure one governing body could actually manage all of that.
Yeah, that's a lot too. I didn't really take that into account.
But it's a worthy conversation.
It's definitely the conversation that
it's going to happen.
To keep going.
Right. It's going to happen. Tommy, thanks for the call.
Okay, guys.
All right. I mean, I think that whether it's unionizing or whether it's like kind of you said, like do the Big Ten and SEC break away? Does football break away from the other college athletics? Yeah. Like all of these things we're going to see play out in the next 5 years. It's all up for grabs. I mean, Rick George, this is what Rick George should be doing. Like he should hire himself as a consultant to all these different organizations, just like tell them what to do, because clearly he told them to get their transfer and NIL in place before they launched it, and they didn't listen to him.
Launched it. They had a committee that he was on, and then it was like, we're just gonna start this before y'all even figure out how it should roll out.
Love it.
Now,
love it. So smart.
Like what a backwards situation the NCAA runs.
It really is. 414-677-1250. Somebody said that I said that I would take 10 home runs from now for Bryce Strang. No, Bryce Strang 10 home runs in October. If Bryce Strang hits 10 home runs in October,
yes,
the Brewers will win the World Series.
And then I think we just said after the home run yesterday, like if he's just like hot from here on, like it's like, all right, now he's building, and then he hits 10 home runs in October.
Yeah,
I think we'll all be okay with it.
I mean, if he hits 10 home runs like in September plus October, that's great. Yeah. That'd be fine.
Yeah, if he goes,
I'll take
if he gets 20 here in the next, next 2 months.
But even if it's just 10, even if it's 10 in the next 2 months, like that's better than 1 in August.
Very true.
But we will see what that looks like. 414-677-1250 is the talk and text line. If you want to jump in, my browser has lost connection to my camera, Mason, so you can't see me right now, can you? Or am I frozen?
Already.
Oh,
No,
I miss you.
can't see you.
But I'm still here. You can hear me. I don't know if that's
hear you.
I don't know if that's better or worse, frankly.
It's a voice in my head.
Yep.
I'm not sure I like it.
Andy Herman coming up at 1:00. Plenty more to get to right here. He's Mason Crosby. I'm a ghost. We are the Mason Crosby Show.
Yes.
I am. Hi, Mace.
How you doing?
You doing good?
I'm great.
All right. This is the Mason Crosby Show, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Mace, you know who's pitching tonight?
The Miz.
I mean, it is becoming must-watch TV when the Miz is on the mound, and I'm excited that he gets to pitch in New York. I know it's Met. You know, it'd be nice if it was at Yankee Stadium because the Mets stink.
That's true.
Like, is it their fault? Like I feel bad for the players, kind of. Like
their fault.
They don't want to stink. Like, right? They want to be better.
But what? Like, how do you stink that bad whenever you should be so much better?
Right.
It's like that's the issue. It's like, so where is the ultimate problem?
Right. Is it ownership? Is it David Stearns, former Brewers GM, now Mets GM? Is it the manager? Is it the players? I mean, I'm sure everybody is to blame. Sean Manaea is pitching. He's starting for the Mets tonight. He's 4-5 with a 4.31 ERA. He was like a decent pitcher a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I think with the A's was actually had a couple. You know, he was 11-10 with a 3.91 ERA. He went to San Diego, then San Francisco, now the Mets. Like, he's been okay, but like they're just like, I'm not scared of the Mets.
What do you think? What do you think tonight? It's going to be like a 5-1 type game. Do you think the bats are going to stay hot? And it's going to be like a 9-1.
I think you're right. I think 5-1, 6-1, 6-2. The bullpen might give up a run tonight. You know, Miz will go.
Haven't given up many.
They haven't, but they give up one here and there.
Sure.
Yeah, they give up one here. You know, fluke home run or like a weird. You know, but you're up 5-1 or 6-1, and then you give up at one run, and it's like,
that's true.
We're just here to throw strikes. And if a run
we're just
scores,
trying to get through this. Yeah, get this game moving.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
What do you think of Suarez going on waivers?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a down
he's not
year.
Been great. Yeah,
right.
But who knows? That's when we talk about bats.
We talked a lot about him last year, didn't we?
That's a bat.
Didn't we talk a lot about him last year when everybody was trying to figure out where he was going to go and
exactly
should he come to the Brewers? Listen, he's a bat who can hit a lot of home runs, and if he gets hot, you know, he went from Arizona to Seattle last year and then was terrible, but then hit a few home runs that counted.
Yeah,
and so even though he didn't play that great, he did hit some home runs that counted.
Is he worth bringing? I think he's still owed $3 million.
Like $3 million, which is not much.
No, but if it wins you a World Series,
so
those are always our conversations.
So here's the deal, Mace. Like, if it wins you a World Series, but it means like Hamilton and Ortiz aren't playing at all. Like,
it's hard to sit those guys down,
right? Can you have two infielders like that on your bench? Like, do you have to send it? Do you then have to send one of them down to Nashville, or do you just release? Or does Lara get sent down? Like somebody's got to get sent down if you decide to bring in Suarez. But to your point, if it means he hits big home runs in October and the Brewers win games they otherwise wouldn't have, isn't it worth it at the end of the day? And I don't have that. To me, that's yes, it's worth it, but it's not a black and white clear cut issue for me.
They won't do it because it's $3 million, and again, there's no guarantees, and you're taking a chance that his bat gets hot, here late in the season. So I don't think they should. If we had a crystal ball and said like his bat gets hot and he's hitting home runs and just helping your team score in bunches, like to me, then I said go get him right away.
To me, signing Suarez is like you have 4 to the flush and you're on the river and everybody else already has their hands.
That's a great point.
They already have trips or they already have the straight and you're just hoping to get that. Like if we had a crystal ball, right.
Yep.
You're really betting on a long shot on the river, but if it comes through, you win.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. That's hard.
Are we gamblers?
That's the question. Is Matt Arnold a gambler? Andy Herman, is he a gambler? I don't know, but he's next.
Let's find out.
Let's go.
A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and on the free Odyssey app.
What it is, what it do. Welcome into hour number 2 of the Mason Crosby Show. I was wondering, like, how does the time work, like, in Antarctica? Like, do they just, like, can you, like, walk around the North and South poles and, like,
It's
literally,
its own
like,
time.
Right. It's got to be, right?
Doesn't even exist there.
Oh, I kind of want to go to Antarctica. Are you intrigued at all by, like, a cruise?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I would love to see that.
All right. Mason and Thunder.
Let's go.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do, like, all these people go to, like, Mexico or the Dominican Republic. Mason and Thunder, we're going to Antarctica.
For sure.
Let's do that. All right.
The gear worries me a little bit, getting the right stuff. But other than that, yeah, I would love to go see some penguins. Let's get crazy.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Joining us now on the guest hotline, the absolute best, our very, very good friend, Mr. Andy Herman. Andy, how you doing, brother?
I am doing fantastic, swell, wonderful. How the heck are you guys doing?
Man. Doing great. Yeah, it's
all
Thursday. Yeah, we're moving towards the weekend. Packers last preseason game. I was saying early in the show, though, like, this is the weirdest weekend in sports. Whenever you're in that building, goes from 90 guys and, like, all this stuff. Like, you have interns for coaches, you have all the extra people, fans at practice, to that first practice after cut downs, and it's just like a ghost town. You just don't even like, it's quiet. You're like, why? We're just out here by ourselves. It's kind of a weird feeling, but we'll dive into kind of that projection and all of that. I have a off football question, but related to what's going on with joint practices. How do you feel about seeing other teams jump into the bike riding tradition? The Packers thing. Like, is that like cool, and is everyone, like, okay with it, or should it be just reserved for Packers?
No, I love it. I think my favorite was JJ Watt getting to be able to do it as a member of the Arizona Cardinals. I thought that was really cool. I think it would be different if there was some form of, like, disrespect coming from the other team, or if they adopt it, they love it. There's a lot of respect for it. And I do think that it is a cool tradition. To even, like, you saw the one kid that got to do Trey McBride was wearing a Charles Woodson
right
jersey.
on the front, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like, which, by the way, as a parent, I'm like, if that thing goes, tipping forward, that's probably not great. That's probably not great. But either way, just a cool moment. And yes, I think if there was a difference of anything, I guess it was Watt with the Texans, not with the Cardinals when he was here. But either way, yeah, I think this was a really, really cool experience, and I'm 100% pro and for it going forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's really cool as well. I think these you get more kids involved, right? Like, everybody gets to ride with someone. They might be a fan of a player on another team, and what a cool moment to be able to experience that. So and it just showcases more, like, the traditions that the Packers have established that so many other teams just can't hold. And the fact that the riding kids' bikes into training camp has just lasted and withstood the test of time is really awesome.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
All right, let's dive into football. That was my human interest moment for this segment, but let's talk about this roster and cut downs coming up. And I just kind of want to maybe ask you the question, as you're always diving in and diving deep, like, are there going to be any surprises this cut down period? Are there any guys that have earned a spot, and anyone that you're like, they might decide to move on from this player?
I think one of the toughest things when you're trying to figure this out right now is trying to figure out where the injury situations land. So, for example, I would assume the 4 players that are on PUP, we know Micah and Jordan Riley, who are on PUP, are going to start on the PUP list. I would assume Luke Musgrave, especially with the addition of Jonnu Smith today, I would assume that he is going to stay on the PUP list as well. So I think anybody that's on the PUP right now, Matt Orzik is the other one. I would assume that those players will stay on the PUP. There isn't really any advantage right now to pulling those guys off. You get the extra roster spots, you let them rest, or, for another 4 weeks, starting in week 2, they can start practicing. I think that probably makes sense, and it kind of gives you a few more roster spots that way. I think the other thing is they have 2 players that they can designate to return on injured reserve prior to cut downs that they don't have to cut and then bring back and that sort of thing, or waive and then bring back. So I do wonder with Savion Williams and Warren Brinson and Colin Oliver, like those three in particular, are there any of them that, they can potentially put on that IR designated to return where they're maybe going to be out for 2 weeks of the season or 1 week of the season, but it just makes more sense for them to go on IR and save some roster spots? I think those are the toughest things to predict. I think anything else, there's probably 1 or 2 spots on the back end. Do you want to keep Pierre Strong as a 4th running back? Do you want to keep a 10th offensive lineman? Maybe somebody like a Donovan Jennings or something like that. Do you want to keep a 7th defensive tackle like Anthony Campbell? Do you want to keep a extra safety like Mark Perry? I think those are going to be the questions. Damani Jackson as a 6th corner. I think those are the ones that you're probably out, or a 7th wide receiver in J. Michael Sturdivant or Isaiah Nair or Will Shepard. Those are probably the players at the back end that I think could make it. I think everyone is so ultra aware of all the players that I just named and that they're in those conversations that I'd be fairly surprised if all of a sudden there was like a TJ Quinn that you're like, oh my God, TJ Quinn made it. I didn't see that coming. I don't think there's going to be anything like that, but I do think there's going to be probably a couple things at the very back end where you're like, oh, that's interesting. They kept a 7th receiver, 7th defensive tackle, 6th corner, etc. that maybe we didn't quite see coming.
Well, that's why you're the absolute best there, Andy. You mentioned Jonnu Smith. Let's talk about him a little bit, and let's just kind of talk about what he can bring to this team, what the expectation should be for a tight end. I started watching some highlights because I just had to remember, like, all right, what are his strengths? Like, what's he about? And from all looks, it's like, I mean, he is a true receiving tight end. Like, I don't know if we're going to have much expectation of him being a blocking tight end for this Matt LaFleur offense. And like you said, that seems to be solidifying Luke Musgraves is not ready to go anytime soon, and they're going to keep him on the PUP list. So just, talk about Jonnu Smith and what you think he brings to the table.
Yeah, so Matt LaFleur likes to use a little bit of that receiving tight end / H-back at times. Jonnu Smith fits that position perfectly. If you're looking for a traditional inline tight end that can give you a true tight end plus some blocking ability, that's just not Jonnu's strength. That's not who he is. But if you want to use a tight end in motion, again, kind of maybe put him in the backfield and then, either have him fake a block and run a wheel or any of that sort of stuff, Jonnu Smith can do that at a high level. And 2 things that I think are going to lend itself very well. Jonnu didn't fit perfectly in Pittsburgh last year. It just didn't work out. They were also doing a lot of tight end by committee. They had Freiermuth, they had Washington, they had a variety of tight ends who they were using. But if you go back to Miami a couple of years ago with Mike McDaniel, who is obviously a very similar offensive mind to Matt LaFleur, came from a similar style system, Jonnu had a phenomenal season in Miami that year. So hopefully kind of bringing back some of that. And then also, maybe more importantly, Jonnu Smith worked with Matt LaFleur in Tennessee when Matt was the offensive coordinator there. So Matt's familiar with him. Again, just 2 years ago in a very similar offense, he was fantastic. It just depends on what you're asking him to do. If you're asking him to be a true inline tight end and blocking a bunch, you are not going to get your money's worth. But if you need a receiving tight end and somebody who can be used as a weapon, run after the catch guy, he still has that in the tank. And I think, him maybe not having the success he wants a year ago, I think he's going to be very hungry. And I do think he fits very well with what Matt LaFleur wants to do. Would you love that if he could block better and be a true yes, absolutely. But you have to maximize his strengths, mitigate his weaknesses. And I think Matt's going to be able to do that.
Awesome. We got Andy Herman on Pack a Day Podcast joining the Mason Crosby Show. I want to ask you about the offensive line. We've been talking about them. Don't cringe just yet. But like, who do you see as the starters, and what can we expect from this offensive line? I know last week we talked. PFF came out with the rankings of all lines, and I think Packers were at 28, something like that in their rankings. Should we look at that and just say, like, there's a ton of upside, they could surprise everybody, or are we going to be a little frustrated with this line at times this year?
Offensive line has been something I've been really talking about and harping on since the Cleveland Brown game a season ago, which is week 3 or 4, somewhere in that range. And it never solidified a season ago, despite some of the moving around and the pieces that were in and out of the lineup. It never really got there. And I talked about this, even before or without the Micah Parsons injury, the Tucker Kraft injury, etc. It never quite felt like the offensive line was fully good enough to make a true Super Bowl type of run. Out is Elton Jenkins. Out is Rasheed Walker. To be fair, neither of them played very well a season ago. And of course, Elton was out the second half of the season. I don't think that affects much, but you certainly lose some depth along that offensive line. There is some reason to be optimistic. I do think that you can be hopeful that Jordan Morgan's going to be a better left tackle than what Rasheed Walker was a season ago. In fact, I'd be pretty surprised if he wasn't. Getting Zach Bakabuele, hopefully healthy and good to go for week 1 and able to play a full complement of snaps. That's fingers crossed that he can do that. If so, and he can stay healthy throughout the course of the season, that should be huge for the offensive line just in general. He's their ace. He's their guy that you can sort of set it and forget it. I do think Sean Ryan is going to be an upgrade over what was at center in totality a season ago. Aaron Banks is pretty much.
I was going to say that. Is Sean Ryan at this moment, like obviously Zebach, like if he's healthy, best, but with his uncertainty, is like Sean Ryan the best offensive lineman like available at the moment right now on this team?
I would put a beat up Zach Bakabuele still ahead of him, but he's in the argument for number 2 with probably him and Jordan Morgan. I would think those are the two fighting for that number 2 spot if you're kind of ranking them 1 through 5. Aaron Banks is the same as he was a season ago. So with those 4, it's tough to be like, oh, they're going to be worse at those 4 spots. I think they're going to be at minimum the same, if not better. And then right guard is, of course, the big question. To answer your other question, I do expect Jordan Morgan to be the starting left tackle. Aaron Banks, I think, is going to be the primary left guard. More on that in just a moment. Sean Ryan's the center. Jacob Monk has taken every rep at right guard over the last few practices and does not seem to be going anywhere. It certainly seems like he's going to be the full-time right guard going into the season. And then hopefully Zach Bakabuele will be the full-time right tackle. He has been splitting reps with Anthony Belton. If Bakabuele cannot handle the full complement of reps week 1, I would expect Anthony Belton to be the one that gets any reps to fill in if need be. And I think the only question to me at this point is with Aaron Banks, are they going to just start him, play him full time, or do we see a little bit of a platoon there with a Jager Burton, maybe a Donovan Jennings, but I still think it's probably Jager Burton. So if I were guessing today, I think we see about 60 to 70% of the snaps to Aaron Banks at left guard, with about 40 to 30% Jager Burton at left guard. And I think everything else is set, save for if Zach Bakabuele can play the full amount of snaps or not.
Andy, I got one last question for this O-line. I'm just curious, and I've just been kind of racking my brain on it a little bit too. Is all right, if this line you went and you signed Aaron Banks, it's feel good with Sean Ryan. You paid Zach Bakabuele. You've drafted. You should have a line that you'll feel if this line does not gel and become like better. At least better and like a good offensive line, like who's kind of to blame for that? Like who do we look at now and just say like, all right, is it the coaches? Is it Goody? Like evaluate, like who is to blame if this line can't get it figured out this year?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is the offensive line right now is suffering due to the, for lack of a better term, sins of the general manager. When you spend a huge boatload of money on Aaron Banks to be your left guard, a second round pick at right guard, or, just on the offensive line in general, and Anthony Belton, somebody they thought coming into this offseason was going to be their starting right guard. That is 2 significant resources from 2025 that they put into this offensive line. They re-signed Sean Ryan to a big deal, re-signed Zach Bakabuele to a big deal, and spent a first-round pick on Jordan Morgan. This offensive line from left to right is first-round pick, massive free agent signing, third-round pick that they've now given a bunch of money to, second-round pick, or what should have been second-round pick, and again, at right tackle, a huge re-signing in Zach Bakabuele. They've put the necessary resources into this offensive line, and so then the question becomes, was this poor roster decisions from Brian Gutekunst, or were the chefs cooking with the ingredients, not getting the most out of those players? I go back to last year. Last year, I thought everyone, save for maybe Sean Ryan when he moved to center, underperformed last year on the offensive line. I thought Rasheed Walker was well underperformance. I thought Jordan Morgan underperformed. I thought Anthony Belton underperformed. Aaron Banks, Zach Bakabuele was due to injury. You could tell he wasn't himself when he was out there. But outside of maybe Sean Ryan at center, I thought Elton Jenkins, I thought everyone underperformed. I don't know we're not in the room. We don't get the TPS reports from the coaching staff. We don't have all 22 of what the coaches are doing in the coaching room.
Reports.
Maybe Luke Butkus is doing better with that offensive line group than any other offensive line coach would in the league. And we just don't know it. Maybe that's the case. But when everyone pretty much to a T last year underperformed on the entire offensive line, the only conclusion that I can jump to is that something's happening where these players are not living up to their expectations and performing the way that you need. And that to me smells of coaching. So I think there's a little bit of both. I think there were some mistakes made in the overall valuation of guys like Aaron Banks and Anthony Belton. But I also don't feel like this coaching staff has gotten, specifically meaning the offensive line coach, maybe you can put Steno in there as well, have gotten the most out of the talent that is in that room. And they've got to find a way to put it together and be better this year. Or I do think it'll be the Achilles heel that could ultimately cost this team this year.
Totally agree, Andy.
With that said, though, would they ever admit it? Like, or would they just keep telling us week after week that the offensive line is fine and that
the only way you admit
it
is to get rid, like you fire somebody,
right?
Right?
But
like that's
here's the tough thing. So I know everyone brings up Kevin Zeitler, right? So like there's like 28 teams in the NFL who would like to have better depth and or better players on the offensive line, probably 32 to be honest. And Kevin Zeitler, we are sitting here on August 27th. Last I have seen, has not taken a single visit with with any team in the NFL. I have not seen any tweet from an Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport that would say Kevin Zeitler is ready to go and is waiting his next team and wants to start this. Usually you get some tweet like that when a guy is out there. I haven't seen anything outside of Kevin Zeitler. They're not going to sign a tackle because Jordan Morgan and Zach Bakabawele are their tackles. Outside of Zeitler, there's really nothing available in free agency that's going to help, on the interior at this moment. And not a single team out of 32 are looking to trade away good offensive linemen. So when you get to this point on August 27th, good luck finding anything that's going to help you. Unless Zeitler is out there and available and the Packers want to sign him and he wants to play and he looks good, great, awesome. I'd be all for it. But again, we haven't seen a single thing from his camp that he is wanting to play or taking a visit with any single team. So that is a little bit fishy to me. And it's just really, really hard to find anyone that's actually going to upgrade your line. So to Mitch's point, I do think it would, to admit failure at this point is probably going to have to be next off season where they release Aaron Banks or fire, Luke Butkus or go in a different direction. That would be, and honestly, at that point, at least for 2026, unfortunately, it's a little bit too late.
I wasn't going to bring up Zeitler, but it is an interesting thing. Like his career grade and some, take that with a grain of salt, 14 years, 71.5. He was 74.5 last year with the Titans. Like, I mean, if you feel like he's available and he wants to play and you work him out and he looks good, like, would you think that would be a piece that the Packers should add? Or do you just say like, all right, we're going to roll with our guys. We're going to trust that we can get this line better, at least than it was last year. And, have the protection we need for Jordan Love.
If Kevin Zeitler is in shape, ready to go, working out, and basically the Kevin Zeitler that we saw a season ago, there's very little doubt in my mind that he wouldn't be an upgrade at right guard. And it would certainly be something that I would explore if I were Green Bay. But again, it just seems weird to me that not a single team has had him in for a visit. Yeah, so that's the thing that stands out.
His house is for sale here in Brentwood, so I don't know if that means anything, but
I don't know. But I mean, this is the time where sometimes you get these mercenary players of like, oh, training camp's done. Yeah, I'm ready to sign. I'm ready to sign now. So maybe that's the case. Maybe we'll hear a little bit more on Zeitler this week, and maybe he'll start taking visits, and maybe Green Bay will have a level of interest. And if so, again, all for it. But without knowing what type of shape he is or anything like that, it's just tough to say.
All right, Andy, I want to go to the defensive side real quick, and then I do want to hit on what these joint practices have been like and what you've seen, here against the Cardinals. But cornerback room, how do you think they stand? They signed Jonnu Smith? Like, is there any world where they add a veteran corner to try to solidify that, or are they just going to roll with what they have?
If I were betting today, I would bet that they probably go with what they have. I think Keyshawn Nixon and Brandon Cisse are going to be your starting corners to begin the season. I think Carrington Valentine and Benjamin St. Juste will be your two depth pieces. And it is one of those things where you look at it and you're looking at Keyshawn and you're saying, man, I would still like to upgrade there. I get it. I understand it. When I look at this secondary as a whole, I really love the trio. Then we're going to see a lot of three safety looks for this Packers defense. And I love the trio of Bullard, X, and Evan Williams. I think that is going to be a massive strength of this team. And one of the corners, Brandon Cisse, looks really, really good so far. I'm sure he's going to go through some rookie moments. I don't doubt that, but he already looks like the best cover corner on the team to me. So if you're at like 4 out of 5 that you feel really comfortable with in your secondary, and the other one is Nixon, a player who has started quite a bit. And yes, there's going to be ups and downs. We all know that, but I still
he's
feel
going
like
to compete though. Like
exactly.
He's a competitor.
Yeah. So, and he has players like Carrington Valentine and Benjamin St. Juste to push him. And then after that, I think Kitano Ladapo is a really good backup safety. I think Kamal Haddon is showing he can be the backup to Javon Bullard in the slot. And I think St. Juste and Valentine are 2 really good backup corners. It's really just that one spot of Keyshawn Nixon. And I know that still is probably a weakness, but I think Green Bay is going to roll with this. And knowing that they have some options too with St. Juste and Valentine, if they need to go away from Nixon, I think they'll roll with this. And I think the secondary is actually in better shape than maybe people are giving credit to.
All right. Andy Herman joining the Mason Crosby show. Just tell us what you've seen from joint practices and what we can expect tomorrow in the big preseason finale. Were there any fights? Were there any scuffles? I know we talked, Packers didn't show great in both sides of the 2-minute drill. Just talk about what you saw in your evaluation from this joint practice.
Yeah, it did get a little chippy. There were a handful of scuffles towards the end of practice, a little bit more where things started to get a little bit more heated, but there was never anything that escalated to a level where you're like, oh my God, what just happened? There were definitely some scrums, definitely some things like that, but I didn't see any haymakers thrown or anything like that. So I thought for the most part, when you're in that situation, that's about as much as you can ask for, because these guys are ready to hit another team other than their own players. So I thought they mostly handled that pretty well, although again, it did get chippy later. And this was just really the tale of 2 practices. And it's always, we view what happened last and most recent. So it really sucks that the Packers in the final 4 2-minute drills got, went 0 for 4.
Cooked.
Yeah, got absolutely cooked basically in those 4. But the Packers were dominant to start that practice, just as much, if not more, than what Arizona was at the end. A lot of times that's how these joint practices go. You win some, you lose some. It's not, again, it's so different from a game where you're not game planning this stuff. You're not scheming guys. There were guys that were rotating in with the ones just because this is more evaluation. So you would see Isaiah Nayer and J. Michael Sturdivant run with the ones on offense. You would see guys like Anthony Campbell run with ones on the defense. So you're not attacking it like it's a game situation. Yes, you want your guys to go out and compete and you want them to be better than the guy across from you, but this is totally different than a game. Not the good stuff that happened earlier where the offense was on fire. I'm not looking at that and being like, well, that's going to be the offense going into the year. And the stuff that you struggled with at the end, I'm not looking at that and being like, well, that's what they're going to, have struggles with during the season. So it was a good practice. I thought they got a lot of really good work in. I thought they got a lot of really good evaluation. And ultimately at the end of the day, that's what practice is for. And I think both teams got what they wanted out of that.
Awesome.
Andy Herman joining us here on the Guest Hotline powered by Gruber Law. Real quick, Andy, how excited are you for when the Arizona Cardinals plane takes off, that Josh Sweat stays behind in Green Bay as the newest member of the Packers? And is there any opportunity that James Conner stays in Green Bay with him?
I don't think James Conner at the moment, but the whole Josh Jacobs thing is just so, I have no idea. It's completely up for grabs. You could tell me that he's out for the year. You could tell me that he doesn't get any suspension. You could tell me it's a 2 or 6 weeks. I have no idea. I have no idea how that's going to go. I will say it did feel a little bit yesterday like Goody was more of like a when, not if. That's just reading between the lines. He didn't say that, but
it did feel that way watching it as well. Yep.
It felt that way a little bit in the room too. He did kind of cover it later of saying like, if it happens, but just again, reading between the lines, being there, it felt a little bit more when, not if, but I don't think Connor, I think if it's like a 2-week suspension, I think they'd roll with what they have. If it's more than that, then maybe they would try to get something. Sweat's a lot more interesting. I do think they are very interested. I do think there is some fire to that smoke. As to whether or not they can get a deal done, that's a lot harder. But I do think Josh Sweat wants to be in Green Bay. I think Green Bay has a level of interest. And I do think it just comes down to what's Arizona willing to accept, maybe how much of that contract are they willing to take on. I think there's those couple variables that could maybe make this, that just makes it difficult for him to ultimately end up a Green Bay Packer.
Just a family discount, right? I mean, just let Mike and Matt figure this thing out, they'll like fight for it. I mean, Matt said he would fight his brother, so let him fight for it.
Matt will get Mike a little better Christmas present this year. If you get
exactly.
Matt gets Josh Sweat now, and then Mike gets a car for Christmas or something. That seems like a good deal.
Amazing. I love it. Andy, thank you so much for jumping on today. It's always great to have you on. We'll talk to you during the season. Do you, with like a couple weeks off between, is there any time? Is there like a last ditch time off for you, or are you just like all in now between now and the Super Bowl?
I do not have any like vacation or anything like that between now and the start of the season. I do have a vacation during like after a Thursday night football going into a Sunday football sort of thing in November-ish. But outside of that, it's going to be pretty much all in between now and really like there's not a ton of time off until about middle of June next year. So that'll be the one little week, but we're pretty much all in at this point. No pun intended for Sunday's big event.
Nice.
Lock it in.
Wow.
Lock it in.
Nice. All right, Andy. Thank you so much for jumping on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Can't wait. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Bye. Andy Herman, follow him at Andy Herman NFL on all the socials. Joined us on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. And always, Josh Sweat's staying in Green Bay, Mason. Like that changes the defense a little bit of what we've talked about this week about how kind of nervous we are without Micah and how no passer. Josh Sweat changes that a little bit, doesn't it?
Flips it right on its head. I mean, you're getting something that like the injection we got at the end of last training camp. How wild would it be if 2 training camps in a row, Goody goes and gets like a premier pass rusher? I mean, you have Josh Sweat to start the season, and you put both those guys together. I mean, that to me is an all in to go and try to win a championship.
Yep.
And then it's up to the players and the coaches to unlock it and go get it. So, gosh, yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed, see what happens.
Yeah, and I think making sure that the offensive line doesn't suck. Like it's great if they go get Josh Sweat, but if they keep treating the offensive line like it doesn't matter, that's not going to go well.
Yeah, and I love the guys there, and I never want to see, but
of course,
the business of sports and football, like if this offensive line does not improve, like someone has to answer for that. Like at some point, like there has to be a decision made. Like either the players, like Goody brought in the wrong players, or the coaches just aren't getting them to play right and like getting them where they need to be. And we have to, as fans, as like the business of sports, you have to have an answer for that at some point.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that usually leads to somebody not having a job anymore.
Speaking of the business of sports, a weird story from the world of golf that we've got to discuss. Some instant ramifications for some bad decisions or just missing the mark.
Very like a big miss for a big company.
Yep. And all sorts of other just assorted things we didn't get to yesterday. I do want to get your actual official take on the Cooper Pratt situation. We didn't really get to talk about that, but I'll set that up for you, and you can I'll put it on a tee for you, and you can get a couple good hacks at that.
Yeah, I'll try to hit a 300-yard drive,
or maybe just a pop up to right down the right field line that you decide to run out.
That I'll run out.
Yeah, exactly. He's Mason Crosby. I'm Mitch Nellis. Again, our thanks to Andy Herman jumping on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. We are the Mason Crosby Show.
Yes, sir.
This is the Mason Crosby Show. Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. Mason Crosby here with you. Again, our thanks to Andy Herman for jumping on. Always does a great job. Love his insight and his passion.
Yeah.
You talk about
always
passion.
so dialed in.
Yeah. I wonder, we could ask him this, and I feel like, how do you get that? How do you get that passionate? That like that you literally you create a 365 day a year YouTube channel and Twitter and TikTok and provide that much content that's, I mean, I feel like when we first all got into the sports media business, like that was kind of the dream. Like, I just want to follow my favorite team all the time. And now it's like, you kind of create it the other way. Like, you don't have to get a job in media. You kind of just start doing it. And then if you're good at it, it ends up being something. And that's what Andy's created.
Yeah. And I asked him that before because, obviously his takes, like, I was like, why did you ever consider getting into the personnel department in the NFL? Because he is just so
the way
insightful,
he breaks,
and he breaks it down. He sees the game in a really good way. And he said he did, but it was like, he just doesn't want to be beholden to the man, right? Like, he just was like, hey, I'm just going to do my own thing. I get to talk about it, break it down, but now I don't have to be like held accountable for those, like the decisions and those things and that. And I get to also then do something I really love and it's enjoyable instead of just being feel like a job to him. Like, cause for him, it's his job, but he gets to talk about something he loves and just, do all the things without somebody telling him, well, you didn't know, you didn't make a good decision with that player, or you made the wrong choice.
Just seeing what I'd look like if I shaved my head. If you're watching the video stream right now, powered by Growth Law, I'm holding my hair back. Like,
are you thinking about it?
I'm always thinking about it. Like, I've had a shave. In college, we took like a Bic.
Full buzz.
Yeah. Full.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. Like razor. Like,
we're not talking just buzz. We're talking
not just a buzz.
Straight razor.
I wouldn't do that again. I would do a buzz at this point.
That might not come back if it's
like when you're 19, it's a little different.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is the Mason Crosby Show. Remember, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You pointed this out to me, Mason, and then we both did a little reading on it. Weird situation in the world of sports on the golf side of things, and
it's funny how like you not being a big golf fan, like you just hadn't even.
I was like,
it hadn't even hit your radar yet. Right?
I didn't even know what good was. Like, I thought you were saying I'm good, but I'm not great. Like, I'm just good. I'm not great.
Yeah, it's a golf term where it's like you're on the green and you both have 2 to 3 foot putts, and you're just like, hey, good. Yeah. You just give each other the putts.
So golf equipment manufacturer Callaway announced Thursday that it has ended its relationship with Good Golf effective immediately following backlash for a video advertisement that depicted a man shoving a woman to the ground. So apparently they filmed a commercial. There were a couple influencers in it, and the guy pushed the girl to the ground and was like, "Did not touch my new driver." And in a way, you could have made this like a funny spoof on we're never supporting domestic violence or any type of violence. But like, you could have made this like a funny, like, oh, they bumped into each other and he kind of shoved her out of the way because he was trying to get his driver, and it's like funny and like,
that's my driver, like,
right? Yeah, but apparently they missed, and whatever totally they released, like the internet, there's an internet firestorm, and again, it's kind of like, all right, are we in cancel culture? Like, what's going on here? But I, by all accounts, it was a miss on their part in terms of their marketing department. And now now there's a whole tournament that's been canceled because of it, right?
Yeah. And I've tried to, you can find, a bit of the clip and all of that. And it's like, so, context is always, is always a part of all of these things. It felt more aggressive than like humorous, right?
Like it didn't need to look violent. It could have just been funny.
Because honestly, like conceptually, and if you look at it from their point of view, they were trying to say like, the female golfer is golfing with it's a mixed group of girls and guys, and it's like they're just buddies hanging out, and it's like, hey, like, don't touch my driver type of thing. Like, it would have been funny if she like reached and he like he kind of was like get your hand away, like kind of like,
yep.
There could have been some humor in it, but from what accounts I said, saw as they were trying to emulate that movie Obsession or something where it's like this whole thing, but I'm like, it just missed so hard.
Yeah.
And what the hard part is this good group was a YouTube channel. They created this clothing company and the hat, all the stuff and the gear. Everyone's disassociating from them whenever I believe it was Callaway that had the production and the oversight where this huge company missed so badly and like allowed this ad to be played. And like the second that you shoot that and you see how like the aggressiveness in it, you got to just say like, all right, we gotta shift gears here. Like who is looking at this and saying like, yeah, that'll probably go over well with everybody that sees this. Like they just missed so bad, and now they're releasing. The PGA is dropping. Right. Good had I think they had an event, like a YouTube
in Austin.
Well, they had also a YouTube event that just Golf Galaxy and all these companies dropped off, and then they are actually the hosts of a PGA event, which I'm sure is going to get changed. So that one moment in time is going to more than likely end everything they've built, just because they just couldn't see the mess up that they had.
PGA Tour CEO and Commissioner Brian Rolap said he was disappointed by Good's initial response to the controversy. I think what we saw was concerning, clearly not aligned with PGA Tour values. We take it very seriously. I think their initial response was disappointing. It was a bit defensive and late, but I think the responses are getting better. He called it a fluid situation and said the tour would continue to monitor the fallout. I would like to think that no pun intended, good can make good on this situation. Like they can come back from this. Like I hope it doesn't destroy the livelihood.
I guess I'm also like, why are they held to the highest point of accountability? Like, yes, like,
well, because it was their content creators. Like it was their people who were the actors. Even if it wasn't there. Yeah, it might not have been their creative.
And like the female in the situation. Again, there's no place for, violence towards women and like all of the.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, there's a good commercial on TV right now.
That's great. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's kind of odd, but like, was Callaway in charge of the commercial? Like that's the part I'm trying to find out, because
they both have apologized. Callaway and Good.
I know they've apologized, but is the PGA going to discipline Callaway and say like, hey, we're blocking you from
Ziggy writes in on the talk and text line. Hopefully it causes Callaway's retails to dip for a little so I can get a nice new set of gloves. Nice. Ziggy.
Capitalism at its finest, right?
America.
That's it right there.
Let's go get a Yingling.
Well, you make a mistake, we're gonna come and get your cheap products until till everything settles down.
Right. But I think that's a reminder to all of us that like what's funny to some people might not be funny to everyone. And if
it just wasn't funny though.
Right.
Like that's the thing, is they missed it. Like it did look, it was aggressive for no reason. Because even on the golf course, like you could have done something that like I could see that where you're just like, hey, don't touch my driver. And you kind of like
be funny about it.
Yeah, kind of step in there. But yeah, there was no humor. There was nothing funny about it.
So speaking of no humor, there was not a lot of humor from Pat Murphy towards Cooper Pratt a couple days ago. And I just wanted to get your take on this, Mason. So in the third inning, Cooper Pratt was asked to bunt.
Yep.
And on the first pitch, he bunted foul. On the second pitch, fastball right down the middle. He squared to bunt and he pulled back. He ended up grounding out to the pitcher and the guy at third got out. So he didn't move the runners over. Then in the fifth inning, he comes up. He hits a pop-up, which he thinks is foul. He looks up. He sees it could be fair. He takes off for first base. He rounds first. He doesn't get to second. If he had been sprinting from the very, and so Pat Murphy said two things that were untrue. One, he said that Cooper Pratt didn't run. And I would argue that 0 out of 100 Major League Baseball players, when they hit a ball foul, run. Yeah. They know they hit a ball foul. Cooper assumed it was foul.
You got to take a couple hard steps. Right. You got to
but he then ran. And the other one was, what was the other one that he said that just wasn't true?
Did Pat Murphy think he could have gotten to second?
And he thought he could have gotten to second. Okay. And there's no universe where Cooper Pratt could, even if he had been busting out from the beginning, he would have gotten thrown out by 6 feet, by 6 steps.
I mean, Luis Lara got thrown out hitting a hard ball down the right field line. Yeah.
So with that said, the argument was you take Cooper Pratt out right away. Should you have taken him out after the bunt? Do you wait till the end of the half inning and then take him out to send the message? He gets to the dugout, all of the veterans like surround him and they're like telling him like, yeah, this is where you messed up. You got to be better, but like, we got your back. Like, you're our guy, like all like telling him what he did wrong, but also trying to pump him up. And then, of course, yesterday we see Gasser replies the way he did. Cooper Pratt plays and has a couple hits.
Yeah.
And so clearly there's a method to Murph's madness, but they lost the game 2 nights ago, partly because Hamilton was put in at third and made an error essentially to lose the game.
Yeah.
So
it was an error there. That's true. Yeah, which was interesting. I wasn't watching it, on TV, but I was following it on my phone.
Yep.
And I was shocked. I was like, wait, how in the world did they just score? Like, give it the infield ball to third base?
Right.
Like, just a throwing error?
Yep.
Like, what's going on here? Yeah, maybe a like an emotional overreaction by Murph to like, to shut him down or like do what he did. But at the same time, a young player trying to prove it and do all that, like, don't do the right things. Like, you're not following, you're just, I do think there is a method to Murph's madness, and it clearly seems to work with these young players.
Right.
Like, we do things a certain way. And like I say with my kids all the time, like, you don't have to fully understand. I need you to do it. And then like, we can have a conversation later, but like sometimes you just have to, run the course and do what is asked, especially when you're in a moment where you're trying to earn those spots and like become one of those guys. So I don't think, and clearly Cooper Pratt responded. You got guys like Gasser that can step in.
That responded.
Like, if it was a negative energy there, you would see something different, but clearly they respect Murph. They understand what's going on. He seems to be, like, most of the time he seems to be a good communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he's probably like, hey, we're doing this. It's going to be for your own good. Be better because of this, and we're going to move on. And you keep that internalized, and it clearly worked out. So, yeah, I don't hate it. Is it a big reaction to something like that? Sure, but whenever you're going to try to win championships, sometimes you have to have moments like this where you said like, hey, we're going to do things the right way, because you see what happens when we don't. Like, we need you, Cooper, to do it. We need you to lay down the bunt the right way. We need you to run hard every time. I don't want to have to take you off the field because you are valuable to this team. And you see what happens whenever I have to make a decision like that. So I'm fine with it.
Mason's extra points are next on the Mason Crosby Show.
Yes, sir.
What's on Mason Crosby's mind today?
Now I'm thinking.
It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis. On the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, it was Happy Thursday. Thanks, Mitch Thunder Nellis. This is the Mason Crosby Show. Scotty Scheffler is really good at golf.
Nice.
I was seeing the last 3
It's about
years.
time.
He has had the lowest scoring average of any PGA player for each of the last 3 seasons. So
Scotty.
Guy's a legend. Tour championship going on right now, so we'll be chasing that. Elizabeth Crosby, my daughter, will turn 11 tomorrow, so it's birthday season here in the Crosby
Let's
house.
go. What are we doing for it?
They're doing nails, they're doing all kinds of things. Yeah.
Anything good to eat?
I'm not even invited to the pedicure. Which is a
Come
bit of a
on.
bummer.
You're
Yeah.
a kicker.
Yeah, I know exactly.
You invented pedicures.
Take care of these feet,
Man, come on. All right. Easy. Happy birthday, Elizabeth, tomorrow. We'll wish her a happy birthday tomorrow.
Yes, we will.
This is the Mason Crosby Show.
Later.